Roots are coming out of the bottom of the pot, so is it time to upgrade your pot size? Roots grow down looking for more moisture, so if there's a little bit of water still left in your catch tray, the roots could sneak through your pot instead of growing back into your soil. Dima sent in this Monstera on Discord hoping to upgrade their pot size because they saw roots coming through the bottom of their pot. But the best advice I can give them is to take the plant out of the soil and actually check. And the roots look like this. The roots are nowhere near filling out the pot. Any pot size upgrade would have been a mistake. You want to aim for your roots taking up 80 to 90% of the volume of the entire pot. You really want to start to enter the ramen noodle zone. This is probably too much. This is probably just right. The main reason why you may want to wait for your plant to take up more space with the roots is because we want our tropical plants to take up water faster. If you have more roots in your pot, your plant will absorb water faster. If you have more soil in your pot, the roots will stay wetter for longer. Roots that stay surrounded in wet soil for longer periods of time lack oxygen, and this creates the perfect environment for root-killing bacteria to thrive. Dima also mentioned that their soil was staying wet for 2 weeks. That's a really long time for a plant at this size. And while there's no visible damage on the plant just yet, from my experience, this is probably coming soon. So what can Dima do for a better plant? Instead of the terracotta pot size upgrade that Dima had originally planned, they can take that plastic pot and switch it out for the same size terracotta. Terracotta is porous, so it will actually help the plant release water and moisture from the sides of the pot. This will help to create a faster wet-dry cycle and will assist in creating an environment where that soil-borne rot-causing bacteria does not have a chance to thrive. The other piece of advice I would give to Dima is to give the plant more light. The more light the plant has, the faster the roots can absorb water from the surrounding soil. I know it's hard to get a ton of light from a single window, but plants in perfect light and perfect temperature can always get away with larger pot size increases even if they have very small roots. To apply what we've learned today, let's take a look at my small Monstera. First, let's check the bottom of the pot. Roots coming out of the bottom doesn't necessarily mean the pot is full, but it can sometimes give us hints about the health of the plant or the speed of the growth. If you look back at Dima's plant, the roots are black and they don't look the best, especially if you compare them with the good health of the roots inside the pot, or with these pictures sent in by some of my other Discord members. No roots are coming from the bottom of this pot, but that is to be expected as the drainage holes are extremely thin on this style of pot. Squeeze the sides gently and pull the plant out of the pot. My roots are as healthy as Dima's in colors, but hers are thicker than mine. My roots are also taking up more space of the pot than Dima's was, probably closer to 70% of the pot is already filled out. While I do say to aim for 80 to 90% of the pot being filled out before upgrading, this is not a hard and fast rule to follow. This is great advice for novice growers, but the more you know your plants and your soil mixes, you can repot much sooner than this, especially if you know that you have significant amount of light in your space. On the topic of light, Dima was able to use the resources in our Discord server to get a light reading for her plants. At a sunny period, her plant was getting around 1400 lux. This is actually just hitting the bare minimum for maintenance growth on this plant. Extremely low light. Her plant needs that 1400 lux for at least 12 hours just to survive. So she will want to move it to a sunnier window or add some grow lights. Right now, I'm just removing some soil from the roots so you can get a better look at the health of the roots. But this isn't something that's necessary. As long as your soil mixes are mostly similar, you really don't need to untangle all of the roots and start removing all of the extra soil. As I suggested for Dima, switching to the same size terracotta pot is the best option for her, and it will help get rid of that excess water retention that's caused by low light. This is the closest pot size that I could find, as my roots haven't hit that 80% full mark, so this is a perfect size for me to use. For a quick comparison, this is the next terracotta pot size upgrade for me. I could get away with a larger size because of the amount of light I'm getting with my plants. If I were to take a reading in lux, I get a reading of around 15 to 14,000 lux under a mix of medium to low light windows with additional grow lights. I'm using a high quality potting soil mix with added perlite, orchid bark, and horticultural charcoal. A chunky, well-draining mix tends to work best with Monstera. However, you are able to use your standard potting soil mix as the only thing. You shouldn't have any issues provided you follow these repotting rules and ensure that your plants are getting adequate lighting. When you're potting, you don't want to press everything down to get your soil too compacted, but you do want to ensure that there are no air pockets when you're filling your pot. Using a small stick or chopsticks can help you get more soil down into the lower part of your pot. On potting your plant, you might notice some stability issues with the plant as the roots haven't taken hold in the new soil. So this is a good time to add a stake to your plant. Something small like a wooden plank or a bamboo stick would work well. This Monstera is supposed to be a small form of a reverted mint Monstera. I got it from House of Monstera in Toronto as they were packing up and leaving to start selling in the States. I also want to use this one in a small form versus large form video. Eventually, maybe, but I feel like I have to wait to grow it out for like 3 years. I also feel like if the two plants aren't grown side by side in identical temperature and light controlled environments, people just won't be satisfied with it, so that might never happen. I don't know, we'll see. I've been using these modular plant supports from Beyond Belief, and since they're wide, I will have to upgrade the pot size, but in terms of the actual volume of soil in the actual pot, it's still about the same as a very small increase in pot size because the climbing pole is taking up most of the pot and then the excess soil will just go around it. Identify the back side of the plant where the aerial roots form and lean that part against the pole. From there, use double-sided plant Velcro to stabilize the plant and then water it. For more details on the potting soils that I use, you can check out this playlist, and this video will show you how to pick the perfect pot size for any plant.